Hello, my friend. It is wonderful to have you here. Today, our story is about a boy who became one of the fastest footballers in the world. But there was one dream he could never reach: by running. Now, let me take you back to 2012, to a small bedroom in Bondy, just outside Paris. Look at the walls. Every wall is covered with Cristiano Ronaldo posters. Inside this room, a 14-year-old boy is lying on his bed. In his hands is a football. In his head is a dream. The boy grew up in the shadow of his hero. One day, he would have everything he had ever dreamed of. Except the one thing he wanted most. Some dreams cannot be rushed. This is the story of Kylian Mbappé. Kylian was born in Paris on December 20th, 1998. 5 months earlier, France had won the World Cup. It was the first time in history. Zinedine Zidane scored 2 goals in the final. The whole country was still celebrating when Kylian came into the world. His family lived in Bondy, a small town just outside Paris, so from the very beginning, Bondy was his home. His father, Wilfred, came from Cameroon. His mother, Faiza, was born in France. Her family came from Algeria. Faiza was a professional handball player. She played in the top French league for many years. Bondy is not a wealthy town. Many families came there from other countries, hoping for a better life. But Kylian would later describe his home very differently. In Bondy, we do not have a lot of money, but we have dreams, because dreams do not cost anything. Dreams are free. His father was a football coach at a small local club. It was called AS Bondy. So Kylian first touched a football when he was very young. The pitch was like a second home. At 6 years old, he joined the youth team. Something unusual happened. The coaches quickly realized Kylian was too good for boys his own age, so they moved him up to play with 10-year-olds. He was still the best player on the pitch. His youth coach was a man named Antonio Riccardi. Riccardi had coached hundreds of children in his life. When he talked about Kylian, he said something remarkable. Kylian was the best kid I ever coached. Probably the best I will ever coach. Riccardi remembers one game. It was a local match. AS Bondy was losing 1-0 at halftime. The dressing room was quiet. The players were upset. Then, the small boy stood up. "Do not worry," he said. "I will get the ball. I will score." The team went back onto the pitch. Kylian got the ball and burst forward. He skipped past the first defender, then the second, then the third. Soon there was only the goalkeeper left. Kylian stayed calm and rolled the ball into the net. He had done exactly what he promised. He was 10 years old. By the age of 11, scouts from Europe's biggest clubs were coming to Bondy. Real Madrid was watching, Chelsea was watching, Bayern Munich was watching. Nobody had seen a young French talent like this since Zinedine Zidane. Can you imagine what it felt like to be that boy? A small child in a small town. Suddenly, the biggest clubs in the world are knocking on your door. In late 2012, just before Kylian's 14th birthday, Real Madrid invited him to visit their training ground. His parents said yes. A special trip. A training session at the biggest club in the world. The family flew to Madrid. They arrived at the training center. In the parking lot, someone was waiting for them. A tall man was standing quietly by his car, hands in his pockets, a warm smile waiting before the words did. It was Zinedine Zidane. The greatest French footballer of all time had come in person to meet a 13-year-old boy from Bondy. Zidane pointed at the passenger seat of his car. He offered to drive Kylian over to the training pitch. The boy climbed in. He was so nervous he could barely speak. Finally, he looked at Zidane and asked a simple question. "Do I need to take off my shoes?" Zidane laughed. Of course not, he said. Come on, get in. Kylian sat there in silence as Zidane started the car. He thought to himself, I am just Kylian from Bondy. This cannot be real. I must still be sleeping on the plane. That was Kylian. And perhaps that is still who he is. Zidane drove him to the training pitch and gave the boy a personal tour of the facilities. Kylian watched the first team train. Then he met Cristiano Ronaldo, the man whose posters covered every wall of his bedroom. Someone lifted a camera. Kylian stood beside his hero and smiled like a child on Christmas morning. Real Madrid wanted him. They opened every door. They offered everything. But when the family flew home to Bondy, Wilfred and Faiza said no. They were worried. At 13 years old, Kylian might disappear inside a club full of extraordinary talent. His mother wanted him to grow up like a normal child. His father wanted to protect him. So Real Madrid would have to wait. Neither Kylian nor Real Madrid knew they would have to wait another 12 years. At 13, Kylian left home for the first time. He joined AS Monaco, one of France's best clubs for developing young talent. He moved through the youth teams faster than anyone expected. In his first 5 games at under-19 level, he scored 10 goals, 2 in every match. He was promoted to the reserve team, then almost immediately to the first team. On December 2nd, 2015, Monaco played at home. In the 88th minute, the coach looked to the bench. A skinny teenager pulled off his training jacket, number 33 on his back. Mbappe was 16 years and 347 days old. He had just become the youngest first-team player in the history of AS Monaco. The record had belonged to Thierry Henry, one of the greatest French forwards the game had ever seen. Mbappe did not celebrate. He did not buy a sports car. He did not move into a mansion. Monaco offered him a small room in the training center. Just a small room, like any young player. Mbappe later said something people would remember. Footballer does not rhyme with Ferrari. I have no car. It is not a big deal. Then Monaco unleashed him. In the 2016 to 2017 season, he scored against Manchester City. He scored against Borussia Dortmund. He scored 15 league goals. Monaco won their first French title in 17 years. They reached the Champions League semi-finals. All of Europe was watching this boy from Bondy. In August 2017, Paris Saint-Germain changed football history. They paid 180 million euros for Kylian Mbappé. He was still only 18 years old. The most expensive teenager football had ever seen. He still did not have a car. He still did not want one. The next summer, the World Cup came to Russia. Mbappe was 19 years old, the youngest star in the French squad. France's first big test came in the round of 16. Their opponent was Argentina, the Argentina of Lionel Messi. The match was played on June 30th, 2018. It became one of the greatest World Cup matches ever played. 7 goals, constant drama, and in the middle of it all, a 19-year-old boy who would not stop running. Mbappe's first moment came in the 13th minute. He picked up the ball inside his own half. Then he ran. 60 meters. An Argentina defender tried to grab him. Then another tried to stop him. Nothing worked. The only way to stop him was to bring him down. Penalty. France scored. In the second half, Argentina came back to lead 2-1. A French defender equalized. 2-2. Then Mbappe took over. In the 64th minute, he slipped a low shot under the goalkeeper. 3-2. 4 minutes later, he was through again. This time, he fired the ball high into the net before the goalkeeper could react. 4-2. Argentina pulled one back late, but it was too late. France won 4-3. Argentina and Messi were out. Mbappe had just joined a very small club, a teenager scoring twice in a World Cup knockout match. Before him, only one player had ever done it, Pelé, in 1958. When journalists asked him about it, he was calm. It is flattering to be the second one after Pelé. But let us put things in context. Pelé is another category. France beat Uruguay. They beat Belgium. On July 15th, 2018, in Moscow, they met Croatia in the final. By the 65th minute, France were leading 3-1. But Croatia would not stop attacking. One more goal from them, and the final could turn. Then the ball rolled to Mbappe, 20 meters from goal. No backlift, no hesitation. His right foot swept through the ball almost gently. The shot stayed low. It skipped once on the wet grass, past the diving goalkeeper, into the corner. 4-1. The final was over. France won 4-2. At that moment, Kylian was only 19 years old, a world champion. No teenager had scored in a World Cup final since Pelé in 1958. 60 years. Nobody that young, until Mbappe. The next day, Pelé sent him a message. Just one line. Welcome to the club. Then Mbappe did something that shocked the football world. Every French player received money for playing at the World Cup. They also received a bonus for winning it. In total, about $500,000. Mbappe gave all of it away. Every last dollar. He donated the money to a French charity that helps sick and disabled children play sports. He did not keep a single cent. When journalists asked him why, his answer was simple. I did not need to be paid. I was there to defend the colors of my country. A 19-year-old boy from Bondy. A world champion. A global star. And he gave away $500,000 to children who could not run. To understand what made Mbappe different, you have to understand his speed. His feet were fast. His mind was faster. In 2019, Paris Saint-Germain played AS Monaco. Mbappe was on the pitch against his old club. He picked up the ball near the halfway line. He ran past 2 defenders. He entered the penalty area. He scored. The GPS tracker on his shirt measured his top speed during that sprint. 38 kilometers per hour. Watch a defender try to catch him. Watch the gap between them grow. Not shrink, grow. A grown man in full sprint becoming smaller in the frame. Let me put that number in perspective. The fastest human being alive is Usain Bolt. His top speed is about 44 kilometers per hour. Mbappe is only 6 kilometers slower than Bolt. But Mbappe is not a sprinter. He does this while controlling a ball, while avoiding defenders, while thinking about where to shoot. At Paris Saint-Germain, this speed made him unstoppable. He became the club's all-time leading scorer with over 250 goals. He was the fastest footballer alive. But even the fastest man in the world cannot outrun time. In just a few minutes, we will stand inside a stadium in Qatar. The biggest football match of the 21st century. A boy from Bondy against his own teammate from Paris. 3 goals in one final, and still tears at the end. December 18th, 2022, Lusail Stadium in Qatar. The World Cup final. France against Argentina. Mbappe against Lionel Messi. 2 teammates from Paris Saint-Germain. 2 of the best players in the world. 1 trophy. The first half was a disaster for France. Argentina scored a penalty, then a beautiful counterattack. 2-0 at halftime. Mbappe barely touched the ball. In 70 minutes, he had only 20 touches. Only 1 touch inside the box. Argentina was already preparing to celebrate. The commentators were already writing the story. Messi's dream. Messi's coronation. Messi's World Cup. Then, in the 80th minute, everything changed. France won a penalty. Mbappe stepped up. The whole world stopped breathing. Cool. Calm. He sent the goalkeeper the wrong way. 2-1. 97 seconds later, Mbappe did something impossible. A high pass reached him. He took one touch. He swung his right foot at the ball as he was falling to the ground. It was a volley.